the branches of government. Okay? When you move down, okay, you got 50. So we have 50 states with 50 different state constitutions. Okay? So when it comes to, again, falling below that period, that is, again, the 50 state governments. Okay, so, and then moving down. Okay, so what do I mean by this 89,476 local governments? Okay, so we'll move it down. Okay, so it's broken down. Counties. So when we're talking about Tulare County, Kings County, Fresno County, this is in the nation. Okay, so in the nation, there are 3,033 counties. Okay, so that make up the nation. Okay, so again, when you're talking about local governments broken down in these different jurisdictions. Okay, so moving on down. Okay, you got 19,492 city governments. Okay, so that number changes, especially during census years. But when it comes to cities in our nation, there are that many. So, city of Visalia, city of Tulare, city of Hanford, city of Lemoore, all cities. Okay, so in the nation, that's how many cities we have. Okay? Moving on down, towns. Towns are a little smaller in the sense of the smaller population. So when we're talking about townships, there are 16,519 towns. So moving on down, you have 13,051 school districts. Okay, so we have school board members. Okay, when it comes to, again, we have these individuals that are again elected to serve on the school board in school districts. Okay, so when it comes to the Visalia Unified School District, Tulare Unified School District, Dinuba Unified School District, all of again these school districts that exist, there are 13,051 in the nation. And then moving on down, special districts. Okay, so when we're talking about special districts, there are 37,387. Okay, so what do I mean by special districts? So examples of special districts. Okay, so it is everybody knows that we have the worst air, or at least some of the worst air in the nation, if not the world. At different points in time, throughout our year, okay, here in the Valley. So we have a special district referred to as the Central Valley Air Pollution Control District. Right? That would be referred to as a special district. Right? So special district in that way. Another issue that we find very important here in the Valley, water. Okay, so we have different water districts that exist that divert certain water that, again, is claimed in certain ways. There's different water rights that go along with how water is dispersed. So, again, special districts in those ways as well that exist in our nation. So those are just two examples. Another example can be, let's say, mosquito abatement. Okay, those horrible frickin' mosquitoes. Mosquito abatement can be also an example. Okay? So again, that brings that grand total 89,527. Okay, so that's that breakdown again. How many jurisdictions we have in our nation. So again, that breakdown as to what that means in the scheme of government. Okay? All right. So moving on. Okay, so what do I mean by federalism? Okay, so federalism, specifically when we're talking about the relationship between, again, the central government and local governments. Okay, so basically the national government and the state governments. Okay, so we're going to be talking about how that interaction takes place. Okay, so we have a federalist system. Okay, other governments may have a unitary or confederal system. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So when it comes to the idea of unitary, okay, so unitary specifically means where it's a top-down authority. Okay, so think totalitarian, think authoritarian. This is where the central government is telling everyone else at the bottom what to do. Okay, the local government has no authority. Okay, confederal. Okay, when it comes to the confederal system, this is the Articles of Confederation. Okay, so you guys might remember last week when we went over the Articles of Confederation. Okay, so this existed again when, right after the defeat of Great Britain, the Articles of Confederation were instituted in government. So this is a bottom up. Okay, so instead of a top down, the way a unitary is, confederal is a bottom up approach. Okay, so again, we talked about how the dilemma of what that caused in the Articles of Confederation. So again, when it comes to how we in the United States have internalized how federalism works, it lies in between. Okay. The federal system lies in between this unitary and confederal system. Okay, the Constitution again is very specific as to what powers are delegated to the national government and which powers are delegated to the state government. Okay, so we're going to talk about where the Constitution is in that regard. Okay, so again, where powers are given to the national government and what powers are given to the states. Okay, so moving on down. Let's move that. So in a federal system specifically, when you're talking about this sphere of authority, it's usually divided between written constitutions. Okay, so that's why we have a state constitution here in California that is different than the national government and the constitution that exists. Okay, but again, we're going to talk about how again the national supremacy doctrine when it comes to how the Constitution was developed. Okay, so we'll talk about that. All right. So, so when it comes to a federal system, again, authority is divided between what powers the national government gets and what powers the state gets. Okay, so we'll talk about that in the Constitution. So this also includes American tribal governments, obviously. So when it comes to specifically the sovereignty that American Indians are given under the Constitution eventually, because again, when it came to the initial signing, they didn't receive full-blown citizenship till the 1920s. So different ways in which, again, that was very incremental. But again, that does include the sovereignty of American Indian reservations. Okay? So within each sphere of authority, each is supreme in theory. So again, if it falls in the states, it's the state's jurisdiction. But again, the national government, if it so chooses, can reign in authority. And we're going to talk about that built-in flexibility in the coming slides. Okay? So this did allow states to retain state traditions and local power, while establishing a strong national government capable of handling common problems. Okay, so states oftentimes, again, are reflective of regionalism. Californians are a hell of a lot different than Floridians or, Texans. So again, each state is very unique in the sense of how the region, goes about doing business or moving forward or staying the same as a state. So again, all of these different ideas that come with this authority, this giving of states their reign to make their own decisions moving forward. Okay? So what do I mean by that? So even with modern transportation and communication systems, large areas and population, it really makes it impractical to hold all power in one area of government. Okay, so the fact that Washington D.C. isn't telling Visalia, California, what to do at any specific way. It's not directive in that way because again, in each sphere, each is supreme in theory. Okay, in the sense that again, reigning in that authority. So again, different ways in which that plays out. So what do I mean by that? So when it comes to, again, locating all that authority in one